Welcome to Rewriting Real Estate, Millionaire Moves and Modern Tactics with your host, Kimberly Falker, a coach, mentor and strategist for agents who are ready to scale smarter. On this show, you'll learn from high-performing agents who are building their empires with innovation, intention and no apologies. Whether you're an experienced agent stuck at a plateau or a rising star ready to fast-track your success, this podcast gives you the real-world tactics, mindset shifts, and lessons learned from those rewriting the rules.
Hey, Dustin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this conversation. I do like to ask, typically people don't start out in life in real estate. Did you have a life prior to real estate, or what's your journey into this field?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I can assure you, Kimberly. And by the way, thanks for having me. I'm honored that you'd ask. I don't think there's ever an agent that grew up wanting to be a realtor. When they grow up, it's just something that people stumble into somehow. And I was the same way. When I got started in real estate, it was actually not to be an agent, but to be a wholesaler and a flipper, because there's these shows on A&E, like Flip This House. And I was watching people make 50 grand or 100 grand flipping houses in 30 minutes a week. That was the edited show, of course. But it started when I was in my 20s, early 20s. And I was just working kind of like, I call them dead end dude jobs. I was a debt collector, which is funny because I had debt collectors calling me at the time. I detailed cars. I did some construction and handyman type stuff. So painting and tearing out bathrooms and all that. And then I worked at backcountry.com as a gear expert. And I got to talk about snowboarding and climbing and camping all day long. And none of those were really a career path. They were just jobs. And I was at a real low point in my life in my early 20s, and my mom recommended that I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I had never heard of it. I had no context, but I'm like, I'd like to be rich. This sounds like this will teach me how. That sounds nice. So I was like, cool, I'll read it. And it was actually an audiobook. And so I listened to it, and it opened my eyes to entrepreneurship, specifically in real estate. And for the first time in my life, I saw a pathway that I could be in business for myself. And prior to that, I don't even, honestly, Kimberly, I don't think I ever even had a desire to get into business because I didn't think it was possible for people like me. I literally thought, it sounds so weird, but I literally thought that those who ran businesses and were successful, starting businesses and entrepreneurs, that they were a different type of person. Because
so when you say people like me, what do you mean?
So when I was just working jobs. I didn't have anyone in my family who was in business, who was an entrepreneur. And so I didn't have any examples in my life. I just saw these wealthy people and, they started a business, or that person owned this company or whatever. And I'm like, wow, they're a different type of person. And so I never even thought about that for myself until Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it laid it out for me. And I was like, wait, that's the pathway. And it just happened to be in real estate. But like I said, it was real estate investing to start with.
How old were you at the time?
I was in my early to mid 20s.
Okay. So those are the years to experiment with life a bit too.
Right. I feel I'm 42 now. I feel like I'm still life is one big personal development journey.
100%.
When you're in business, when you're an entrepreneur, it's all just one big personal development journey. So I still feel like I'm growing up. And
I agree. You look at, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's it keeps on going. You think about Colonel Sanders, who started KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken. He's been in his mid 70s when he launched that. So you can keep on going.
Yeah. And now it's funny when I look back, it's I can't believe that I didn't see the possibility of being an entrepreneur. Again, I had no examples of it. I had no one pushing me to do it. I had no one in my life that I could look at and be like, oh, I want to do that. It was always just other people or a friend's parents that owned a company or whatever. And I was like, wow, what would that be like?
And I think what's unique in your thought or what you just mentioned is that people don't typically speak of real estate as entrepreneurship, which in fact it totally is. Because people go into real estate because I don't want a boss, I don't want to have to answer to anybody. But actually, if the real estate schools would teach it as an entrepreneurial business journey, it would, I think, shift the mindset of a lot of agents, I think.
Oh, you're so right. I mean, I could so go off on a tangent about this. I think it's so important. So I'm glad that you mentioned it. The agents that struggle in real estate the most, if you look at a common thread, one of the common threads that they have is they don't really see themselves as an entrepreneur. They see it as like they own their own job. And look, I'll be honest, if you can own your own job instead of working for somebody else, oftentimes that's an upgrade. So that's still better because you control your own schedule and all of that. But if you just see it as a job, you're never going to take the actions or put in the systems or make the hires or even just move in the right direction to have an actual business. Because it's funny, we all get into real estate. We want flexibility. We want freedom. We want the ability to not have our income capped based on how many hours we work. It's all about opportunity. And then of course we say it's because we just want to help people. Obviously that's part of it, but I think it's disingenuous as like the main reason for anyone. Like we do it to make a living and to be there and provide
life
for our families.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, I want to be rich as hell one day. I wish more people would be upfront about that because we all want that. Real estate is a great pathway to that, but you have to see yourself as an entrepreneur in order to make the right decisions and make the right moves that'll ever get you there. Otherwise, you're just like spinning the hamster wheel faster and faster, one transaction after another forever, not really building anything. And the danger with that, Kimberly, is what happens if something happens to you and you can't work?
Right.
What if you get
and what's
sick
your
or
exit
family
strategy? Nobody looks at this entrepreneurial real estate journey as you're building a business, you're building something, but like the exit strategy, no different, whatever it is. If you're in a 401k business or corporation, there's always an exit strategy. So it's like people don't, again, I would love to redo the real estate schools because they're not teaching the right things to actually make an agent successful, because it's like, you're not building it as a business. You're not teaching how to have an exit strategy. You're not teaching the entrepreneurial side of it. You're just teaching what an acre is, riparian right. It's like things that don't matter.
Oh, yeah.
And you can Google in 2 seconds. Yeah.
And all this crap that literally you'll never need to know again.
Oh, and if you need to know, you look at your phone and look it up.
Exactly. You're right. Like the real estate education platforms.
Back in the 70s. They haven't changed it since the 70s.
So I don't necessarily blame the schools because like they're just teaching you what you need in order to pass the tests. Who creates the tests? It's the states.
Right. That needs to change. Yeah.
It absolutely needs to change. And I understand if there's certain things that they think you need to know, but the schools should also be planting seeds and teaching you that, hey, like this stuff is literally like you're going to need to know a few of these things, but what you really need to know is how to attract business. How do you get people to pick you as their agent?
And out of the gate, what's your marketing strategy? What's your business structure? How do you save for taxes from day one? How do you set aside? It's like, how do you negotiate your commission? It's just like all those things are not taught. The people side of it is not taught. The business side is not taught.
That's right.
Real estate math is taught.
Like this, it's so important that agents or anyone who wants to be successful in any capacity, you've got to learn from others that are a step or 2 or 10 ahead of you. So podcasts like this, or consuming content online, or YouTube videos, or just going to events and being around other people who are successful doing the thing you're doing is absolutely critical. Otherwise, like, how do you learn how to be in the business of real estate? Because you're not taught that. And honestly, most of the people who are doing the teaching, they were never taught either.
No. And they're stuck in an era that doesn't exist anymore because it's a different business than it was.
That's right.
Shoot, even 2 years ago. It keeps on changing.
Yeah, like pre-Chat GPT was a completely different world.
Yeah, I got licensed in 2004, and in order to do an open house, you had to do a newspaper ad. So it's different now, and I think that's great. But anyway, so going back to you, so you got into kind of the wholesale And then tell me the trajectory of you're in your mid-20s and how'd that go?
Yeah. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. It didn't go well, which actually turned out to be a blessing because it pushed me into getting my license and becoming a realtor and, servicing buyers and sellers. So my parents and I invested way too much money in Rich Dad Education and then a few other courses where you go to these weekend seminars. It's like 30 grand, 40 grand, and you go to all these classes and stuff. And we just weren't where we needed to be mindset wise. Like we were not the people that we needed to be yet in order to really execute and do the stuff. Because when I look back at it, it's simple. And if I had the mindset then that I have now,
you would have crushed it. Yeah. Yeah.
Game over. I don't even know where I'd be now, but it's just wild. So we ended up buying a house to flip. It was a short sale back when those even existed. It was a short sale.
What year was this?
I want to say it was 2010.
Okay. Yeah, because the 2008 crash, there was a lot of short sales. That's why I asked that.
Yeah. It might have been 2009, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Those were the tough times.
Oh, totally. When you drive down the street.
I took a break from the business because people were getting so mean.
Well, and what's crazy is that's when I came into the business. So I came in a very, very heavy buyer's market because you drive down the street and there's all these homes with flyers taped in the front windows, which they're bank-owned properties. And then there's short sales. And so we found one, it might've been a bank-owned actually, now that I think of it, but we bought a house for 110 grand in Salt Lake City, which is now that's just like.
That does not exist anymore.
Not even close. So we bought this house and fixed it up to flip it. I think we spent like 20 grand on the fix up, which was pretty good, but it was a basic cosmetic type thing, not a real nice house. But we go to then sell it, and the agent that we were working with, we relied on his after repair value. And once we fixed it up, we realized he had no idea what he was talking about.
Oh, no.
He had overvalued what it could actually sell for on the market. And so we had to make a decision. Do we sell this and just take a loss and just bring money to the table? Or do we hold it as a rental? We decided the latter, and we held it as a rental for a couple of years. It ended up being a blessing in disguise because we were cash flowing about $500 a month, which was really good on just one door. That's really good. And we just hated being tenants we hated being landlords because the tenants were just destroying the place. And so we decided after the market had gone up a bit that we were going to sell it, and we did. And to do that, I realized I need to get my license. And I was going to a local real estate investor association, and I just approached the president one day and I was like, hey, here's what I wanted to do. We have this house that we're going to flip. We held it as a rental. We want to sell it. What do you recommend? He's like, you need to get your license, because if you're going to be a successful investor, you should have your license. So you have your own access to the MLS. You can do your own comps. You can represent yourself. You can earn commission when you purchase stuff. And he just rattled off all the reasons. And I was like, cool, let's do that. So I got my license, fully intending to just be the realtor. And we sold that place. But I realized pretty quick, we were just talking about this. You pass the test, you get your license. You're like, you know what?
Where's the guidance?
Yeah. Like, where are all these houses?
Where's the blueprint for what to do?
Yeah. Like, when do you get, who's going to deliver me all these houses that I need to sell? Like,
yeah, you hang your license and you get some business cards, and then what?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I need to get the people to work with. I need to get the clients. I need to get the business. And just to make ends meet, I started to help process short sales for that president was also a broker. And so I joined with him at his little flat fee brokerage, and he became a mentor to me. He had a team processing short sales, and I just helped with that, and they paid me a wage. And through that, I don't even remember how this happened, but somehow someone in his office knew that I had a license, and they referred me a buyer to work with. And I think it was because they didn't want to work with the buyer. It was the buyer had a $100,000 budget, which was possible back then in Salt Lake, but only with short sales of bank owns. And they passed it off to me. I paid him a little referral fee. But the craziest thing happened, Kimberly. There was an actual paycheck at the end of it. For the first time in real estate, I think I made like $1,100 after everything. They were offering 2% on the short sale or something like, I don't know. Plus it was like $110,000. I made nothing, but to me, it was like, I think it was the biggest part I'd ever made up to that point in anything that I'd done. And so I'm like, okay, let's do more of this. How can I get more clients?
Yeah,
and that's when
proof of concept, right? It's okay. Yeah. This works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I said, I'll keep doing the investing stuff, but let me figure out how to be an agent and get more clients to work with because I like those commission checks.
So that was 2010.
I got my license in 2011.
Oh, 2011. Okay.
Yeah. January 2011 is when I got my license.
How long were you actively working with buyers and sellers?
So let's see. I haven't for about 6 years now. So it's been 9 or 10 years.
Okay. So you built your own business, transition into what kind of was the catalyst for shifting out of production and doing what you're doing now, which is pretty amazing.
And that's a whole other story too. Like here's what's crazy. I've been in real estate for 15 or 16 years, but whatever, I think it's 15 and licensed for 15. And when I look back, like it feels like it's all been so slow, but at the same time, like that's how it works. Like you just start taking steps forward. Sometimes you make pivots, sometimes you make little adjustments, and then you just keep going, or you make a mistake, maybe make another pivot. And over time, once I figured out how to be an agent and how to get business, I figured that out through blogging, actually.
Really?
So I was blogging. That was my first entrance into like attraction, like attracting clients to me. Before that, I was cold calling, door knocking, doing mailers,
the hard
reading
things.
Scripts. Yeah, reading scripts and calling strangers because that's what my mentor in the office was telling me to do. I didn't know any better. And one day out of desperation, because I was damn near starving to death, I Googled how to get real estate leads. And it brought me to Easy Agent Pro's website, who's a really awesome website provider for agents. But on their blog, they had a ton of ideas for how you can attract clients. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Like, that's so much better than approaching a woman in a grocery store and saying, who do you know that needs to buy or sell real estate? Like my mentor has taught me to do. There's a whole story behind that too. While she was weighing her cucumbers. I shit you not. It was bad.
Or at a bar when somebody's ordering a drink. It's like a pickup line.
And it's so bad. And I knew it was so bad. And I hated doing that kind of crap because it didn't feel right to me. That's not my personality at all. And I knew that there's got to be a different way. And then I finally found, oh my gosh, like I can attract people to me. And I started to learn about content, specifically with blogging. And if I wrote some articles, they'd be indexed in Google. And when people go to Google to find an agent or to learn about the sales process, they're going to find my stuff and I'd get clients. I think it was about 3 or 4 months into that, which is actually really fast.
Yeah.
I got a call from some buyers and they were like, hey, we saw your YouTube video, which I think I recorded a Snapchat story, put it on YouTube. Like it was awful. I don't even know if it's still up.
But it worked.
It worked. It brought them to my website. They read some articles. And because of the content that I had, they decided before they reached out to me that I was their guy.
Wow.
And so and by the way, I didn't know that was happening. I had no idea that was happening behind the scenes.
That was
until
long before that was a thing. And now it's a thing, but that was long before that.
Yeah. And so I get a phone call and this guy's name was Matt. And he's, hey, we want to buy a house. What do we need to do to get started? And I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting in my office and I was thinking, well, I've got to, who else am I competing against for this buyer? Because obviously they're going to interview a bunch of people, right? That's just what I assumed. And I'm like, well, how do I say it? I said something along the lines of, when you're done meeting with the others, or let's get together and I'll show you my process. And he's like, no, we're ready to go. Like, you just tell us what to do.
You're my guy.
Yeah. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, wait a minute. All this stuff that was just theoretical up to this point.
And cringy. The other methods that are cringy. Yeah.
Works. I got instant validation. And ever since then, I just went so hard into marketing, social media, lead generation, and figuring out how to get business coming to me. And once that started to work and I got busy, I realized, wait, I don't want to be this busy.
Ooh.
It sucks not missing my son's first steps because I'm at an open house. My wife texted me a video of my son taking his first steps.
No way.
My wife texted me that he had said his first words while I was stuck in traffic with some asshole clients that I think right before that, we went into a house, we pull up and they're like, nope, next. I'm like, you couldn't have seen that from the photos? Come on. I was in a bad mood. And
That's always the worst, because then you have to apologize to the listing agent, the poor sellers that got the house ready. I have always hated that. I'm like, can we just walk in for 2 seconds?
Yeah, I don't miss that part about the business. But
no.
I was missing my son growing up. And because what I thought was the goal, which is to get super busy and have clients, I'm like, I don't like that either. Now, at least I can pay some bills, but I've got to figure out something else. And after, I think a couple of years later, through a brokerage change, I learned a new business model. I started my podcast where I was speaking to agents and helping them to figure out the stuff that I had just figured out as far as attracting clients. And one thing after another. And pretty soon I've been fortunate enough through the business model that I have to where I don't need to personally sell homes anymore. I just partner with other great agents and I help them to sell as many homes as they possibly can. I help them to build their business. And the more homes they sell, the more successful they are, the more money they make. I get a little piece of that. I share in the revenue from it. And that's been quite a blessing in so many ways. So that's where I'm at today.
I love that. So what year did you start your podcast?
January 2018.
What was your kind of concept when you first started it? Or it's been going now for many years, but what was a germination of that idea?
Okay. So at that time, I had been doing marketing stuff like blogging, social media, and I decided too that in my mind, like, I'm not just a realtor that tolerates marketing. I'm a marketer who sells homes. And I made that mental shift because
that's huge. That's actually a really good thought process now that you say that. Like, I think about that because I think that would help so many agents, to be honest with you.
I wish more agents would see themselves that way because marketing is the fuel. It's the lifeblood. Without marketing, without lead gen, without a brand, nobody knows you exist. So that means no business. You have no one to work with if no one knows that you exist. And so I decided,
was your brand always massive agent, or did you have something like, was it your name prior to that?
I'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
I'll get to that. Because I was a marketer and I wanted to do all the marketing things, a podcast was something that, like, I wanted to check that box. I wanted to do that too, but it was just down the list. But on January 1st of 2018, I was walking my dog at night. I was listening to Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast. I love Pat Flynn,
yeah. He's a good guy.
Incredible. Just all about online marketing and everything in general. But he was talking specifically in that episode about how powerful podcasting has been for building his brand and his business. And here's what he said. He's like, if you have a killer social media post that just crushes it, it'll do well for a couple of days and then it just dies off. And that's still true today. Sometimes they keep going and going and going, but for the most part, social media posts die off after a day or two. Now, YouTube, then he's saying YouTube is even a step up. With a YouTube video, those can keep going and people keep seeing them. But if you're getting 7 to 8 minutes of average watch time on YouTube, you're crushing it. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's pretty good. 7 to 8 minutes of attention. That's great. And then he said, the reason why podcasting is so powerful is every single week, he gets people listening for 75% of his episodes, which were always an hour. So on average, 45 minutes of attention every single week. And I'm like, when he framed it like that, Kimberly, I was like, I need to do this. Like, why am I not doing this now? And so I decided right then and there, I remember the exact street corner that I was on when I was walking my dog. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back to my basement office. I'm going to record the first episode. It'll just be about marketing stuff. I'll figure it out. I just kind of winged it. But what are we going to call it? And I thought of mega agent. I'm like, what's bigger than a mega agent? And then I thought massive agent. I shit you not, I started laughing out loud because I thought it was so freaking stupid. I thought it was so dumb. But a split second later, I was like, that's it. Massive agent. And I just decided, and I'm like, let's just go. And then I started thinking about what the podcast would be about and everything like that. And so that's how the name came up, is I was thinking, what's bigger than mega agent, massive agent? And that was it.
So when you first started it, your vision of the podcast would be that you would talk to the world about what you've learned and ideas, or has it shifted and changed over time?
It still matches that description, but in the beginning, it was very much tactical marketing, social media stuff. It still is, but it's evolved for sure to be more entrepreneurial as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about the mindset that it takes to be a successful agent and have an actual business, so that deals still close, even if you go spend a month in Europe or you get sick and need to take a month off. Here's what's sad. Most agents really legitimately own their own job. If
True.
you stopped working, would everything grind to a stop? Or would homes continue to be sold? Would clients continue to be serviced? The answer is usually nope. It would all grind to a halt. And that means you do not have a business. You have a job. It could be a very high paying job. It could be a very satisfying job, but it is still a job. It is not a business. And so we talk about that on the pod as well, trying to get agents to look at being a realtor differently so that they can build a business and not just own their own job forever.
I love that. So what year did you pull out of production and go full on into the podcast and everything else?
What was that? Late 2020 or 2021?
Okay.
No, it must have been early 2020, because I was not showing houses during COVID.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had stopped right before that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was that launching feeling? You're like, okay, cast is take me to 2018 to 2020. How does that all of a sudden replace income, or what's that process feel like? Or how do you like, okay, I'm done? Or
I probably did it all wrong, to be honest with you. I knew what I wanted, and I knew that it could be successful. It could be fruitful. And I knew that I could get it there one day. But I'm like, look, if I step out of production to really focus on this full time, I might take a temporary pay cut for a bit. And I sure as hell did.
a family and a wife.
And I have a family. So it certainly hurt the credit score.
A bigger deal, yeah.
Yeah, hurt the credit score, lots of financial stress. But in hindsight, it was worth it. Because
You burned the bridge a bit, right?
In theory, I would have done it differently. I would have saved up some money and to have a cushion. I just don't know how else to do it. In reality, when I see something, I just freaking jump. And there's good and bad to that. So
it's the way a lot of realtors work in their lives.
Yeah. I certainly struggled for a little while with that.
But if you have, I think that we have tenacity in this business, and it's okay. You burn the bridge. I'm going to make it work. So then through podcasting, how did the income replace itself out of production?
So let's see. So I moved to eXp in mid 2018. So four or 5 months after I started my podcast. And so I was already serving agents with the podcast and with everything I was doing on social. And I saw the business model as a way to partner with agents and just be able to really
help them
make a deeper impact if they're actual business partners of mine, where instead of them paying, we could just partner together. And if they sell houses and they're successful, the company would share some of the revenue with me out of the company's cut. And I loved that idea. And so did they. So I'm like, let me just find a bunch of partners and try to build that organization. And luckily in 2020, COVID pushed a lot of people into a cloud-based model. Because what else are you going to do when all the offices are closed? It's wild how many agents I talked to in 2020, even 21, that they were still paying for their office, but they literally could not go there.
They weren't allowed to go there. Yeah. Crazy.
But they're paying.
Thinking about, yeah.
Yeah. And so there was this huge exodus to cloud-based models, eXp specifically at the time. And so I think I 10x'd my agent network that year from 18 to 120 or something like that. which is wild. I guess that's not quite 10x, but
were most of the agents that came over listeners of your podcast? Is that how people found you, or that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you were giving them free value online by teaching them. And if someone's going to put you in their favorites of podcasts and listen to you weekly, then obviously they're going to start connecting with you.
Exactly. So the podcast has helped immensely with that. And I have that same model today. I'm at a different brokerage, and it's absolutely been the biggest blessing. But the cloud-based revenue share model has helped. I've used that plus my coaching, and I do some sponsorship stuff on the podcast. I do some paid speaking and some other things, but that's what's helped me replace the commission income. And now, being at Real for almost 2 years, revenue share has become significant full-time income. So it lets me spend all day just helping my agent partners instead of me distracting myself trying to get buyers and sellers and showing houses myself. Because
that's a great way to put it.
That's no longer the highest and best use of my time.
Yeah. So do you still have a paid coaching program that agents can be a part of? Is that called Massive Agent Coaching, or what's that called?
That's the Massive Agent Society. So we have a community on School. So we do live coaching. I have a bunch of courses. I have a bunch of training that everybody gets access to, referral network. So yeah, that's called the Massive Agent Society.
And so people in the world of agents, and you hear the word rev share, it sounds like a dirty word. Simplify what the value of having agents that you can help out, and what does rev share mean? Because it always sounds from the outside looking in as like a selfish thing. I just want to make money off of something. You know what I mean? I feel like it's got a bad rap and a bad description.
It absolutely does. Not in everyone's eyes, but it's because we've all been approached by some dipshit who is doing it all the wrong way.
I love the word dipshit. Brings me back to the 80s.
Oh, it's a fantastic phrase. When you get approached the wrong way, where somebody's trying to recruit you and they're trying to hard sell you and pitch you, our guard goes up, the red flags go up, and we're like, ugh, it's just icky.
Right.
Because a certain brokerage that I was with for 6 years, that's primarily how it's done. And so the whole business model got a bad reputation because the people who were trying to recruit were doing it the wrong way. They were doing it in an icky way. And so the business model gets the bad rap when really it's the people were just talking about it all wrong. I believe revenue share is the single most attractive thing that an agent should want to have. So not just to earn it, but you benefit from it. So the way revenue share works, it's all about proximity. It's all about access. It's all about partnership. So before revenue share, or if I was at Century 21, for example, and there was no revenue share opportunity, if I was going to partner with agents, they would just have to join my coaching. They'd have to pay me to coach them, and that's fine. It's so much better though when they can partner with me and get my mentorship and my coaching one-on-one. I help them build. I consult on, how to do what they want to do. And let me reframe this. Okay. My mentor, Clayton Gitz, is somebody that I inherited at eXp. He was my sponsor. I didn't know who he was, but he's super wealthy guy, very successful, runs many different businesses in real estate at a high level, and just the best human on the planet. And he started reaching out to me when I was early on at eXp saying, hey, how can I help you? Hey, I see you have this podcast. I see you've got this, you have a real opportunity here. Let me help you build the business. And my pride at the time, I was like, first off, I don't know you. I'm good. I have a podcast. And then when I learned who he was and what he'd accomplished and the type of lifestyle he lives, spending most of his time with his wife and kids, doing whatever they want, I'm like, that guy's beating down my door. If I wanted to hire him as a coach, I could not afford it.
Really?
He doesn't do it. He doesn't charge, but if he did, it would not be worth his time unless it was he'd have to charge so much that I couldn't afford it. But because I partnered with him in the business model, he earns a little bit of revenue when I sell houses or the people that I bring sell houses. And so it creates this financial alignment. So now I get him not as a coach, but as a business partner who's financially incentivized to help me grow my business, to help me attract agents, to help me sell houses if that's what I want to do, to help me start a team and scale it if that's what I want to do.
To help you succeed. That's the whole thing. That's so unique.
That's right.
That
Because
like brokers want their agents to succeed, but it's a different model because it's like
it's
agents
completely
want
different.
agent. It's so unique. I think it's a
Yeah,
very.
it's
I think it just
completely
gets
different.
I think it's misunderstood, and ironically, it's in any cloud-based brokerage across the board because there's many of them now. What is it? What's the percentage of agents that don't take advantage of agent build and rev share? I mean, it's a small percentage, right?
At Real, 88% of agents do not take advantage of revenue share.
I mean, it probably was the same at EXP, don't you think?
It's a little bit less. It's about 11%.
Yeah, which is
Or,
crazy. 'Cause
sorry,
that's
11% do take advantage. At Real, it's 12%.
okay. Basically the same. And you think about it's an untapped opportunity for
It's
money.
the revenue share. Here's what I want people to understand about it. It creates this scenario where the person or the people that you are aligned with through the sponsorship model, they only make money if you make a bunch of it. So if they want to make more, they need to help you make a bunch more. That at its core is amazing. And it comes out of the company's dollar. So the company takes their split and then they take some of that. eXp pays out 50% of their revenue to those who qualify to earn revenue share, 50% of the revenue. Real pays out 60% of our revenue. So the company, for every dollar the company gets, they're paying 60 cents back to the agents through revenue share. So it's not costing an agent anything. It's not coming out of their money, but yet you get this alignment where you can align with people that can help you build what you want to build and have them as actual business partners and not just somebody that like, hey, I'm going to coach you, but then if you do it or not, it doesn't really matter. It creates true alignment in the space. And I love that.
I love that. So do you have, outside of your podcast, I know that you travel speaking, do you have any new visions for building, or you keep staying in this lane and making it better?
Well, that's a good question. I would, yes and no. So doing more of what I'm already doing is absolutely the plan. Just doing more. But a lot of what I talk about now is lead generation and marketing, social media, that is relevant to anyone who's in business, not just agents. And so
I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
I have some aspirations once I can create the bandwidth for it to just do, I don't know, massive marketing and just like a general, instead of making it real estate specific, just teach people the same stuff, but for a restaurant owner or for a dentist or for a lawn care company or for a hairstylist, because it's all the same stuff.
Now, speaking of that, given all the new AI, have you restructured things within your business based on that? Because there's so much that it can help you with. And to your point about dentists, lawn care, plumbers, or whomever, your knowledge married with AI could really be something you could create, don't you think?
I mean, I use it all day, every day. I don't know if I've restructured anything yet, but it's helping me get so much more done. Yeah, I'm way more productive. My output is much higher than it ever was prior to these tools being available. There's so much more that's possible right now that I just, quite honestly, haven't had the bandwidth to really learn about or implement, because it's just evolving so fast every single day. So I'm trying my best to keep up with it. And I think I'm above average as far as using AI, integrating it into what I do, but I know that there's so much more it can do. So that's exciting.
That's super exciting. I love everything you're doing. And I know that you travel to speak, if somebody wanted to obviously follow the podcast, but if somebody wanted to work with you coaching wise, we'll put the link down, but how's your coaching program work? Is it a one-on-one, a group coaching, or how does that typically work?
It's group coaching, but I'm personally involved. And as long as you're willing to show up on the calls or ask in the community, you get me. So like I'll help you, I'll coach you, I'll give you personalized guidance and insight. I don't outsource that. I don't have other coaches. I don't have other people that do it for me. Yeah, I used to do one-on-one stuff, Kimberly, but I don't know. I do coach a few agents one-on-one each month. I don't have bandwidth for more than that. And it's expensive for it to be worth my time and to make it sticky enough for them. It's expensive, but that's why I do the group coaching, which is very affordable. It's called the Massive Agent Society over on School. The best thing, if you want to download my expertise and my experience with how to get clients in today's world, I created a free masterclass. You can attend my free masterclass, totally free. I break down, how top agents today are using AI, they're using social to attract 5, 6, 7 new clients every single month. And I show you exactly how to do it in that masterclass. That's over at clientsfromsocial.com is the easiest way to find it. So that's where I would say to start, and then follow me on Instagram at Massive Agent.
So I'd love to end with this final question. If you had to move out of Utah to a state that you know nothing about and had to start all over again, no sphere, no friends, no nothing, but you wanted to scale as quickly as possible, what would you do? And you don't have your podcast.
Scale real estate
Scale
sales?
to whatever it is. You're starting from ground zero again, and you're still in the world of real estate.
I could do what I'm doing now anywhere. It doesn't matter. Where I live has no bearing on my business model now. But if I was an agent moving to a new market and I wanted to get buyers and get sellers and build a brand locally, I would just start doing content about the most interesting things in that area and just putting that out there and create your own credibility. Build your own brand. It doesn't matter that you've only lived there for 2 months. Nobody watching the video cares. They just care about what's the video about. Is it interesting? Oh, I didn't even know that restaurant was there. That looks great. Let's go. And then they share it with their friend. Or I didn't know Topgolf is being built over there. I didn't know that splash pad is going in over here. So that's what I would do. And honestly, I'm tempted to do this in different areas because you can create
just to have
content.
proof of concept.
Absolutely. And there's agents that I partnered with that are in my groups that they have done exactly this. They'll start becoming a local influencer in a place that they don't even live yet in anticipation of moving there. So they build their network, they build their following, they build their knowledge of the area through research and everything. They create a bunch of content for Colorado, for example, but they still live in Florida. Shout out to Rick.
I know.
And you can build a brand in a place you don't even live yet. So then when you do move there, you're already established. People recognize you, even though you just barely got there.
I love that. I love that. Dustin, thank you so much for your time. And you've been so inspiring to me. So I appreciate it more than you realize. But
thank you.
Thanks for listening to Rewriting Real Estate. If today's episode challenged your thinking or gave you a strategy worth trying, share it. The right move at the right time can change everything. Subscribe and listen in next week for more insight, more momentum, and more ways to grow your business your way.